Ladies and gentlemen, before you decide you already know how this story ends, look again. Because on a suffocating August afternoon in Washington, D.C., a 21-year-old left-hander from the Philippines didn't just win a tennis match. She rewrote what her country believed was possible, and she did it against one of the most decorated hard-court players of her generation. The scoreboard will tell you 6-4, 6-2. Clean, straightforward, almost easy. But numbers lie about the weight of a moment, and this moment weighed a ton. This is the story of how Alexandra Eala walked onto the biggest stage of her young career, stared across the net at a four-time Grand Slam champion, and refused to blink. The Mubadala City DC Open isn't just another stop on the WTA calendar. It's a WTA 500 event, one rung below the majors in prestige, played on the fast, hard courts of Rock Creek Park under a punishing sun. The scorching temperatures in Washington had become a real problem all week, with the mercury soaring over 90 Fahrenheit regularly during the afternoons. This was a tournament of survival as much as skill. And yet, entering the semifinals, no one had survived quite like Eala. Consider the gauntlet she'd already run. En route to the final, Eala had defeated former world No. 4 and reigning Olympic gold medalist Chinwen Jung, defending Washington champion Leylah Fernandez, world No. 10 and second seed Alina Svitolina, and now stood across from a four-time Grand Slam champion and once the best player in the world. Read that list again. That is not a draw. That is a murderer's row. The woman waiting on the other side was Naomi Osaka, a name that once sat atop the sport, a player whose thunderous baseline game had delivered 4 major titles, all on hard courts. The 21-year-old Philippines left-hander was facing the 4-time Grand Slam winner from Japan, ranked 13th, who was chasing her 8th career WTA title and first since taking the 2021 Australian Open. On paper, this was experience versus ambition, pedigree versus potential, the odds makers agreed. The pre-match consensus leaned heavily toward Osaka's power and hard-court resume, ending the fairy tale in straight sets. There was even a nagging statistical ghost hanging over Eala. She had been 0-7 against opponents ranked between number 11 and No. 20 in the world in 2026, seemingly struggling against the second tier of elites even while slaying giants. Osaka at number 13 fit that exact profile. So the question wasn't whether Eala could beat top 10 players. She'd proven that. The question was whether she could solve the puzzle that had quietly haunted her all year. She began by announcing she wasn't afraid. The Filipino flags were everywhere. Another capacity crowd in Rock Creek Park witnessed the match, with many carrying or waving the Philippines' 3 stars and a sun flag in their hands or on their chests in support of Eala. They came expecting a fight. They got a coronation. The opening exchanges crackled with nerves on both sides. Eala and Osaka traded back-to-back breaks of serve early in the first set, with Osaka getting the second to level it at 2-all. This was the choppy, unsettled tennis of 2 players feeling for rhythm in brutal heat. Osaka's serve boomed. Eala's returns bit back. Then came the sequence that told you everything. Osaka seized a 4-3 lead to start the match, but Eala responded by winning the next 3 games to snatch the first set. That's the sentence that changes the story. When Osaka nudged ahead and the crowd braced for the champion surge, it never arrived. Instead, the momentum reversed. And it reversed because of Eala's nerve. Watch how she did it. Tied at 4, Osaka lost the first 3 points on her serve, clawed all of them back to force a deuce, but then sent a forehand into the net, handing Eala the break. That's a champion in trouble, finding a way out, only to have the door slammed shut by an opponent who simply would not let go. Eala consolidated that break and pocketed the set with a hold that oozed calm. The second set was less a contest than a statement. Eala maintained control from there, racing to a 3-1 advantage in the second set before completing a dominant victory. The body language had flipped entirely. Osaka's shoulders dropped. Her eyes searched for answers that weren't coming. Eala, by contrast, moved like someone who belonged, and when it came time to close, she didn't flinch. The Filipino star raced to a 40-year lead while serving for the match, and despite Osaka threatening to force a deuce, closed it out in straight sets. 1 hour, 16 minutes. Done. As one writer put it, she was the one playing as if she had won multiple Grand Slams before, not a player who hadn't yet won her first WTA-level tournament. Great matches leave fingerprints in the stat sheet, and this one is fascinating. Start with the serve, because that's where the match was quietly decided. Eala won 71.4% of her first serve points and an extraordinary 78.9% of her second serve points, while Osaka managed just 59.4% behind her first serve and only 48.1% behind her second. Sit with that second serve number for a moment. Nearly 4 out of every 5 second serves Eala hit, she won the point. That is elite. That is a player dictating even when she's supposedly vulnerable. And here's the tactical wrinkle that made it possible. Eala is left-handed. Her spin arrives on the opposite wing, curling into uncomfortable spaces. One observer noted that Eala's difficult-to-manage second serve was a real issue for the Japanese player. Often on the slower serve, Osaka seemed completely lost, unsure how to position herself and frequently stretching to get her racket on the ball. The lefty serve wasn't a footnote. It was a weapon. Now flip to the return game, and the picture only sharpens. Eala won 40.6% of first return points and 51.9% of second return points, dwarfing Osaka's 28.6% and 21.1%. Winning more than half the points on an opponent's second serve is how you strangle a match. Every soft delivery from Osaka became a launching pad. The pressure points followed the same script. Eala faced only 4 break points and saved 3 of them, while Osaka faced 12 and could not hold the line often enough. The breakpoint conversion, Eala converting 4 of 12, a 33.3% clip, reflected relentless pressure across 9 return games. 12 chances. She only needed to take enough of them, and she did. Then there's the ledger that Osaka herself pointed to. Osaka struck 5 aces to Eala's 0, but also coughed up 5 double faults to Eala's single 1. That's the trait of a big hitter searching for range and never quite finding it. I feel like I hit a lot of unforced errors, so that was probably one of the main reasons for the loss, Osaka admitted afterward. Eala's game was the opposite. Fewer fireworks, far fewer mistakes, and total control of the rhythm. Strip away the drama, and you find a masterclass in disruption. Eala didn't try to out-hit Osaka. That's a losing bet against one of the cleanest ball strikers alive. Instead, she changed the texture of every rally. The left-handed serve pulled Osaka into awkward return positions. The heavy topspin off both wings forced Osaka to generate her own pace, which is precisely when unforced errors bloom. In return, Eala positioned aggressively, taking time away and refusing to let Osaka settle into a serving rhythm. Every second serve was treated as an invitation. Court geometry became her ally. She stretched the angles, opened the court, and let Osaka's own power betray her under stress. And when Osaka pushed back, as she did at 4-3 in the first, as she did trying to force a deuce in that final game, Eala's defensive recovery and shot tolerance held firm. She absorbed, she reset, she waited for the error. This wasn't a player hoping to survive. This was a player executing a plan. The mental adjustment mattered most. Down a break at 3-4, the easy thing is to tighten. Eala loosened. She reeled off 3 straight games to steal the set, and that psychological blow, losing a lead you'd earned, visibly deflated Osaka. For all the brilliance, let's be clear-eyed. Eala's ceiling is dizzying, but the finishing still needs polish. 12 breakpoint opportunities and only 4 converted is efficient enough to win, but against a Pegula or a peak Grand Slam contender, leaving 8 chances on the table is dangerous. The next step in her evolution is ruthlessness, turning dominance into shorter matches, closing doors the first time they open rather than the fourth, and that lingering record against the no. 1120 tier suggests she must keep proving that consistency, not just inspiration, is now who she is. Eala became the first Filipino player to reach a WTA 500 singles final. Not the first this year. The first ever. This was literally uncharted territory. She had previously only reached the semifinal of a WTA 500 tournament, and this was also her first final on hard court. It was, remarkably, only her second tour-level final. She reached her second career WTA final, having dropped the first last year at Eastbourne. And she arrived here while enjoying a career-high ranking of number 28. A deep run or a title will push that number toward the top 20 and cement her as more than a curiosity. She is now a fixture. The message to the tour is unmistakable. A generational talent has stopped knocking on the door. She's kicked it open. The final is set, and it's a heavyweight test. Eala will play top seed Jessica Pegula in Sunday's final of the Mubadala DC Open. Pegula, seeking her 12th career WTA title and 3rd of the year, eliminated Russia's Diana Schneider 7-5, 6-4 in the other semifinal. The head-to-head favors the American, and it's their only prior meeting. Pegula beat Eala in a 2025 Miami semifinal. More sobering still is Pegula's form on this surface. The American enters the final 22-4 on hard courts this season. A machine of consistency, depth, and clean returning who rarely beats herself. That's the puzzle. Osaka handed Eala errors. Pegula won't. There are no cheap points against her, no wild double faults to feast on. Eala will have to earn every single ball. Her lefty serve remains her trump card, and her second serve dominance must travel to Sunday. But she'll need to convert her chances at a far higher rate than 33%, because Pegula, unlike Osaka, will make her pay for every missed opportunity. Realistically, Pegula enters as the favorite. But favorites have been falling all week to this same 21-year-old. If Eala wins, she'll capture her 7th win over a top 10 player in 2026. And as Pegula herself conceded, it's going to be a battle. Alex, I'm a big fan of her. She's the future of the tour, and she's already here. This was not just another win. This was not just another comeback. This was a nation seeing itself for the first time in a WTA 500 final, carried there by a 21-year-old who refused to be intimidated by a champion's shadow. Champions are not made when the draw is kind. They are revealed when the draw is cruel, when Jung, Fernandez, Fidelina, and Osaka all stand in the way and a young woman walks through every one of them. I'm super, super happy. I think I played really well, Eala said. Simple words for a seismic day. If this performance is any indication, the rest of the WTA Tour should be paying very close attention. Because this is not the end, this is only the beginning.